Hey everyone, it's Tim Sayers and Azrat here. Um, we're releasing our book Relics Ruins, so I thought I'd do a quick little flick through so you can see what's in it. Um, so a little bit of background on how this came about. Last year I entered the Knave 2E game jam with my adventure into the Tower of the Magi. I hope to go back and do a deluxe version of it. The outcome of it was, though, that I posted about it on the OSR subreddit and met this gentleman right here, Tim Santy, who gave me some wonderful feedback on it. We got talking, we had a lot in common, and we decided to collaborate on this book. My background is I've been playing D&D probably for around 10 years, across game mastering across 3 campaigns now. One that ran for probably around 3 years. That was my sort of debut in the space, and was a 5th edition campaign, and then had about a 7 year fifth edition campaign that was my second one in the same world, called the Reckoned Marshes. And now I've over that time I sort of got into the OSR space. Came across people like Questing Beast, and just fell headfirst in love with everything going on in the OSR space. And so now my latest game is in Old School Essentials, hence I've got that version of it here. Tim's background is he's a fantastic game master. He runs a weekly game at his friendly local game store. It's an open table, and he does it in his system called Shadows of the North, which is fantastic. You can get it for free. It's pay as you want, pay what you want, title on drive through RPG. Very rules light, very kind of character central action, very dungeon crawl focused. So when we came together to do this, we decided we wanted to do kind of like a dungeon crawl that would be applicable for Shadows of the North, as well as sort of Old School Essentials and Knave 2E. They're all systems we both love, really. And so we got to work, and this is the result, which is Relics and Ruins. I run a very kind of fantasy driven game, and Tim runs a lot of sort of pseudo historic games. He was running, when we first started talking, he was running Caverns of Thracia in I believe it was a sort of Greek island in sort of a Byzantine era. Fantastic kind of thing. So so to give you the rundown, if you're maybe a player and you're wanting to recommend this to your game master, without doing too many spoilers, the gist is, this is sort of a barrow mound adventure. It's aimed at sort of roughly 3rd to 5th level characters in Old School Essentials BX games, and it's we've kind of set it in a a pseudo historical setting. And the idea is it's the barrow mound of the Saint Juliana. And there's sort of rumors around her. She sort of is a saint who heals the sick and slays winged devils, sort of maybe a dragon type kind of monster. You can kind of pick that. We've kind of left it open as a winged devil, but most importantly for adventures, there is mountains of silver, which is fantastic, and exactly what you want at that kind of level. So pitching to your dungeon master, if you're a player, is it's very kind of system agnostic, or not so much, well, system agnostic in the sense of setting agnostic as well. You can easily convert this. It's, we've got basically a version for BX, a version for Shadows of the North, and a version for Knave 2E. If you're in the OSR space, you can probably convert to your system of choice, and it's very drop-in to your setting. We designed this in mind that you can have modules that have troves and troves of information, but if you're a game master and you can't pick it up, read it very quickly, you're probably not going to use it. So we did it with that in mind. So ultimately, as a game master, all you need to do is drop in what your setting is, probably change around the saint to your liking, and you'll be good to go in pretty much any kind of fantasy setting. Or you can run as is, and it makes a fantastic one shot, really. But yeah, we'll have a quick look inside. So we've got our intro here, and just to show off as well, this front piece is by Old Raging Barbarian on Reddit. Fantastic cover piece, showing kind of the sanctum of Saint Juliana. Really love that. But yeah, we've got it kind of here. So you've got a bit of an overview on the Italian Peninsula in 536 AD, which is kind of the assumed setting, but it's not set in stone. You can absolutely change it to your thing. Got a D12 rumor table here, which is kind of where you can probe for information. The idea is you've got your town of choice in your setting that they're heading out from, and this is the kind of information they may find in the town. We've got a room key down here. Basically, we've used a bit of the design thing is for if you've got a entry with black background, it means it's the room's in darkness, so you need torches or whatever to see in it. If it's with a white background, it indicates that there is natural light. It's just kind of a very basic design cue, just to make it a bit more apparent, because I don't know about you guys, but I find that I have to be very kind of militant on myself to remember which if the party needs torches or whether a room's lit or that sort of thing, and it kind of goes out of my mind. So it's just kind of like a gentle cue, if you're like me, really. And we've got a bit about Saint Juliana here, which is kind of what I've explained prior, but it's the other key thing we brought in is that she was persecuted as well, by a Roman emperor. Here we got Roman Emperor Maxman, and brutal kind of thing of executed by beheading, grievously tortured, all of that kind of thing. We've got our general OSR advice here as well, which is kind of the cliff notes for it is it's give information freely, telegraph danger, if it's reasonable, just let it happen, dice fall where they may, and let the game unfold. All kind of things you'd probably are familiar with if you're new to the you're familiar with the OSR, and we've kind of targeted as that most people who are going to see this probably are already familiar. But if you're new to it, I think it's pretty great advice. And we kind of done a bit of a different thing in terms of the random encounters, rather than just having your general wandering monster table. We've had this. It's the kind of idea that it's because there's rumours of all this silver and everything. There's loads of adventuring parties who are trying to plunder this place, and there's kind of a bit of almost like an ecosystem of people going on. So we've basically got a bit of a special random encounter table here. It's D12 driven, and the idea is you can either say, if you roll an 11, you could have your 2d6 cultists of the winged devil. That they're going to be zealous and rapturous, and their mission is to complete a ritual. Alternatively, we give you the option that if you want to, for each of these, roll again, you can. So you could have cultists of the winged devil, but they're crazed and insane instead, so fairly similar. Or it could be that they're silent and powerful, and they could be just trying to seek refuge from the outside instead. The choice is yours. It's a case of, depends how many dice you want to roll, and how much variation you want. If it gives you the option that you can do something very quick and simple, but if you want to kind of add more variation, maybe you've been running it for a few sessions, and you want to change. If you roll cultists again, maybe it's you give them a different flavor because it's a different time of day, they're doing a different ritual. You've just got the options there to kind of change it on the fly, really. We then got the optional kind of antagonist, which is Arkwright and his profiteers. He's basically kind of a smart and cunning villain who can be highly disruptive, and just kind of having a bad day. He's very smug, very smart, and his mission is to retrieve the hair of Saint Juliana, which is the true value in this place. We've then basically got a pot mechanic, which is that in a number of the rooms there will be pots. If you kind of break or search them, there can be items in there, and it kind of works on a bit of a karma system, representing sort of that Saint Juliana still has like a presence here. She still has influence. So if you do deeds that would be in good standing for her, you've got a better chance of getting good rewards. If you're being a thief and desecrating her temple, then you're more likely to get kind of bad rewards. So we kind of advise that this is something that it's kind of a bit of an optional one, but it lets the game master kind of adjust the kind of things in there and calibrate it. It's kind of a bit of a very much for the game master kind of to make a ruling on it and make sense. But we give you some suggestions here of what she might approve of and what she might disapprove of. And you basically get a table on this side, which is you've got the good standing, the neutral standing, and the poor standing. And so my fantastic favorite one here is if you roll a 1, it's a pot mimic, and you get D10 silver coins, and then in some of them you get some amazing kind of magic items or map fragments. We've got fantastic bit of artwork here by Carlos Castillo, and this is on one of the kind of bridges. We were kind of invoking almost like the Gandalf holding off the Balrog kind of imagery there a little bit, of having these kind of monolithic bridges over. And then we've got the repeat work by Old Raging Barbarian of the true sanctum of Saint Juliana. So this is kind of your main kind of spread of information here. So this is kind of the first level of the dungeon. As you can see, basically the rooms that are in darkness are kind of inverted in this for quick reference. And you've got a map up here, and this basically shows the entire dungeon floor on a 2-page spread. You've got your map here. We were quite firm to get it down to that. We just really like it in terms of how easy it makes it to run. We as game masters, when we do run modules, we don't love having to flick through pages to kind of continually go back and forth. So we've tried to keep it that. We've got 26 rooms on this first level, and we've kept it very kind of tight and condensed, so you're not having to do loads of kind of deep prep to kind of understand it, but it's just enough there. One of my favorites on this one, if I can find it, is room 4, which is right here, which is the altar of the familiar face. Small stone room, cold, lit by candles of blue flame. They flicker, but no amount of wind can put them out. An altar in the centre of the room contains a stone face stretched by 2 arms connected to the table below. The table's centre has an inscription: "Make mirroring an offering, flesh for flesh." And then leaving an offering of flesh here causes the offering to decay rapidly as the liveliness of the tissue is drained. While this happens, the stone face begins to take on the colour and malleability of human skin, shrinking in size until familiar face, which is one of the magic items in this supplement, and drops onto the table below. Fantastic. It's very kind of gothic fantasy, low fantasy. We love kind of a grungy kind of dungeon crawl, but that's kind of what you're in for. And yeah, basically goes throughout. So you've got let's see what else we've got. We've got kind of aqueducts of kind of flaming oil going throughout the place as well. And up the top here we've kind of got a burrowed tunnel, which kind of alludes to the winged beast inhabiting the lower level. So there's a few ways down, and this is kind of like the lower level. In the center, you've obviously got the winged beast, the winged beast layer, and let's see what's a good one in this one. One of my favorites on this level is you've got the I believe it's the wine cellar, which is has a load of wine bottles kind of stacked up in kind of almost like a racking, and you can basically try and remove the bottles, and there's basically kind of some of the bottles are filled with like oozes, which we call a roiling, like a bottling, which can be pretty nasty. It's fantastic. So on this layer you've got kind of some fishmen, because the idea is we've got kind of a sea cave entrance. So this is one of the kind of alternative entryways the dungeon people can find. And you've kind of got some fishmen. You've got the winged beast cultists down here. You've got around here you've kind of got some of the oozes hanging around as well, being a nuisance. And then another one of my favorites is here in room 28, which is basically or room 29, sorry. And it's basically a room with a stone golem in, which if you defeat, you get a iron golem suit of armor called Eternus, which makes you super powerful. I think you get about 100 HP, but you can never recover hit points. So the idea is you're kind of on borrowed time, as it were, to a degree, because you've got super strong armor, but once you run out of hit points, your time is limited, which is fantastic. We kind of have a bit of a philosophy of giving you quite powerful magic items, but they do have some drawbacks. The familiar face is very evil in terms of its application. But yeah, kind of fantastic. It's very much in the old school style of D&D, where your magic items are powerful and meaningful and change your character. We've got this fantastic artwork here, which is by Frank, and depicts the winged beast. We've got an adventurer with his hirelings there, arming up. It's hard detail to see on camera, but right here you've basically got kind of the laminated hair of Saint Juliana, at least allegedly. You've got the appendix here on magic items. So you've got the familiar faces here. You've got Eternus as number one. You've got the Laurel of Lamentation, which is a fantastic one, which basically is kind of a healing item, which is fantastic. But it's yeah, it's a recently, yeah, only triggers when there's a recently defeated deceased companion, which is fun. Then you've got a bestiary here, um, which, yeah, again, all fits on a 2-page spread, which is nice. Unsurprisingly, covers everything that you can find in there. So a number of them are based on the different adventuring parties you can have. So there's fleeing hirelings, tomb robbers, pilgrims, dragon cult, winged beast cultists, escaped gladiators, beast slayers, all that wonderful stuff. And then there's vampire lord. There's a vampire lord in this one. Giant termites, the stone golem. Shadows. All sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. And there's like a stone snake as well, which guards the sea entrance. And of course, one of my favourites, the Roiling Ichor and Roiling Ichor bottlings. They're fantastic. And you've got Arkwright and his profiteers, should you wish to use them. Moving on, these are kind of in the if you order this, you get the print and PDF version, as well as getting this would basically fulfill through drive-through RPG print on demand. You've got this spread in here. On the PDF version, you get some completely clean versions of the maps. So hopefully if you want to use them in a VTT, you can just kind of import them and snap the grid to them, and they should work fine. But yeah, they are ultimately, if you're technical about it, they are image files. So you can print them off to hand them out to your players. One of the things you can find in the pots are map fragments. So we've got 1 through 8. For the dungeon masters in you, they're not necessarily accurate. They're sort of modified liars versions of it, just to kind of keep the tension up, and not have it be completely obvious. But it gives it some things away. Some things you can trust, some things you can't. And moving on, we've got some rules for some general advice for if you want to run this as a tournament module. We think it works quite good for that, being a general, being quite a general kind of dungeon crawl. It's kind of how far can you get, how much loot can you get. There's the alleged sanctum of Saint Juliana and the true sanctum of Saint Juliana. And so it's whether you kind of solve that mystery. It's nothing too crazy. I think it's a case of some modules you see have kind of really elaborate puzzles, and it's like, how is an adventuring party ever supposed to figure that out? We're not trying to do a complete murder mystery here, but it gives you something to kind of think about as you're playing, and engage with if your party chooses to. We've got basically a few pre-generated characters here. These are for Old School Essentials. I've leaned on a couple there. We've got basically as an elf 2, so it's kind of the racist class version of it is in there. You can, I think you can fairly easily convert them if you use the advanced rules. And yeah, no. Yeah, they're all a good bit of fun, and yeah, it's again useful if you're running a tournament module, because you can have everyone you have the same stable of characters to choose from. We've then got in Appendix F, we've got a kind of a D8 wandering monster table. So that's if you want to do the traditional approach. You can have wandering monster checks in there as well. You can do both. You can do just these. You can do just the other adventuring party way of doing it, because certain rooms will have certain monsters in already. So it's really up to the style of game you play. For myself personally, I'd probably use both, because I use the full OSE time tracking in dungeons procedure. I love it to pieces. So that just what's worked for me. But depending on the kind of game you're running, if it's a bit more narrative, you might want to step off the gas in terms of not using Appendix F. Entirely your choice. We basically give this to you with the idea that you'll modify it as you see fit for your table. That's what we thoroughly encourage. With for the OSE version, we've got Appendix G, which is both Knave 2E and Shadows of the North just focus on coins as a general thing. They don't mind whether it's copper, silver, or gold. With the OSE version, basically, we recommend you spread a little bit more treasure around, a little bit more gold value in there. So the idea is you have 8 entries, and you roll a d50. So basically, if you roll a 51 or above, you just subtract 50 from the roll. So if you roll 54, it's room 4, and basically you just populate each of these in whatever room you see fit. It just spreads it around a bit more treasure. If you guys to hoard, if you run a bit of a logistical game where you're actually running with coin weight, I'm a big fan of that personally, or slot based, it gives them something to, it leans into that kind of the logistical. Are we gonna, keep delving? Are we going to deal with the weight encumbrance? If you include that in your game, it helps with that as well. And then finally, we've got our version of Appendix N, obviously our homage to the original Appendix N, which is just a bit of Tim and I's personal choices on there. So you've got the likes of some of the classics, Conan, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, some more contemporary stuff. Dan Abnett's collective works is one of mine. And then Tim's recommended Caverns of Thracia and Dark Tower on there. And Wolves Upon the Coast. We're both big Luke Gearing fans. Tim has got me onto Luke Gearing, which is fantastic. Really enjoyed Matt Coville's Priest as well. And then we've recommended Skirple's work as well, because they're fantastic. We've got Mothership on there. And just a general thank you to some of the architects of the TTRPG genre with Gary Gygax, Dane Varmason, Tom Mulvey, and Zeb Cook. We probably could have expanded that out to a very long sort of thing. We just wanted to kind of keep it quite short and sweet, and don't want to bore you to death. And there we go. And that's the full kind of run through. So if it looks interesting, do consider picking it up. We've got basically PDFs and print versions on DriveThruRPG. The links will be in the video description. Just click on that. It'll be a link tree, and you can basically pick your version. To give you the idea, regardless of which version you pick, you get all 3 versions of the PDF. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm definitely going to run Old School Essentials, you can get the print version of Old School Essentials, but then you can see the content of the Knave 2E ones, and you can just get the PDF version if you just want to run it digitally. Whatever works for you. So yep, print PDF version, or just the standalone PDF, which has now been out for a wee while. Just wanted to give you guys a quick flick through. If you're unsure about it, you can ask us any questions. I'll put my links to, I think it'll probably be the best one to get me on would be Instagram. I can be very active on there and answer any questions you've got about it. And yeah, otherwise, if you do pick it up, I hope you enjoy running it. I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it. And yeah, if you do want to let us know if you did run it, how it went, and any kind of amazing kind of war stories you got from it, we'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care.